Yes, everybody, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson, joined by Abdul. This is United Review. United have gone on the road, beaten Bournemouth to win our first back-to-back victories this season. Hang on, what the hell is all that about? Marcus Rashford rescues the 3 points from Manchester United, and I've got to say, up until the hour mark, we did not deserve to even be on the same planet as them. We made Bournemouth today look like Juventus that came to Old Trafford last week and absolutely slapped us.
It's just crazy. I don't know what we were doing in that first half. The absolute turnaround was so confusing to me. Like, the way we completely changed the intensity, the aggressiveness in the middle, the passing in the first half was absolutely disgraceful to watch. Do you know how there's just miscommunication all over the shop? Bournemouth were outplaying us. Even out wide, like when they were getting the ball.
Was it a case of our passing was bad, or was it a case of Bournemouth was so much better than us? Like, they played football, they played it great, they played it on the floor, they found space. Bournemouth looked like, I'm not joking when I said we made Bournemouth look like Juventus, or Bournemouth looked like Juventus. Bournemouth were brilliant in the first half. Yeah. The centre half pushed up, the midfield pushed high into our half. I mean, let's have a look actually at Bournemouth's pass map, or average touches, because I thought they were phenomenal, and their shape is very interesting, I think. Let's have a look. Let's pull it up. Here we go. So that's Bournemouth's shape from the game. Do you want to push off that side a little bit? So as you can see there, you've got the two centre halves. The right back, interestingly, has been pulled back, and that's probably because of how adventurous Shaw and Tony Marshall are. That's quite clever. On the left back there, you've got the left backers pushed right in, and then you've got like a forward four. So they was playing 4-2-3-1. Full back high on the left-hand side, and as you can see, the number 10s dropped straight in there into the middle, and they caused us problems. And that shape is there because they was pushing us back, and they was finding balls in the channels, they was crossing it into the box. They could have been 4-1 up at half-time, and nobody could have had a complaint.
100%. They were brilliant in the first half, and it was down, when you said what it was down to, I think it was down to a bit of both. The miscommunication was horrendous in the middle of the pitch. Even the likes of Mata and Sanchez, who are usually composed at times, because I really like some of the runs that Alexis made in the middle. And people need to understand players need time to adapt, especially when they've been getting shuffled about all over the pitch. I speak about Marcus like that all the time. Like, you can't give the lad 2 games as a striker in about 7-8 months and then expect him to straight away click, hold up the play, make the right runs, even though he'll do that all game, press the right way, score the goals. People need to understand players need runs, and we've seen that with Martial. First 3-4 games when he was having this amazing run of form, I wasn't too impressed with him on the ball because I thought he was a bit wasteful. But one thing I did say was you need a run of games, because once Martial has that, his link-up play is improved. Him and Luke Shaw today,
Luke Shaw and Pogba have really got something going on. If only that could be replicated across the other side of the pitch, or even across other areas of the pitch, I think United wouldn't be in as much trouble as we're in now, because they link up fantastic. Fair play to them. And I agree, I think that there's areas that Martial can improve, but beggars can't be choosers at the moment, and he is one of our better performers at the moment.
He's only going to get better,
and he's scoring goals. While he's regularly scoring goals, you can't take up, even if he was playing shit, the fact that he's managing to score week in, week out, you go, the guy's plays still, that's it. Because he's the only one that's consistently doing that.
Exactly.
What I was going to ask you though, and I'll ask you guys at home as well, let me know in the comments, what's going on when you have somebody like Marcus Rashford? Now, I think this is very interesting. This is a player that's measured on goals. Like Tony Marshall. Performances haven't been world class, but his output in terms of the goals he's getting and link-up play is starting to get there today.
Especially today,
It is. So people will point to the goals Marshall has scored and the goals Rashford has scored, and they'll say, that's great, that's not good enough. So why do you have the opportunity? Because I thought he was excellent despite not getting on the score sheet against Everton. Why do you have the opportunity today against Bournemouth to start Marcus Rashford in 2 consecutive games up front? I'm not even sure that's ever happened for him in his career at United in the first team.
The only time I remember is when Zlatan, the back end of Mourinho's first season, Europa League run, Zlatan gets injured.
Was he starting up front as a 9 then?
Yes, he was, because I remember that was my argument with everyone, because I was banging on, listen, give Zlatan a rest, give Marcus that chance in a number 9, and I remember that so well.
Shit, deja vu alert or what?
You got Celta Vigo, Chelsea, Anderlecht. You remember those games? Because Anderlecht is where that was his first game as a number 9, because Zlatan got that horrible injury in that game, if you remember. Straight away, goal in that game. On his left foot, Bang, I remember that so well, and him and Martial connected really well. Next season, brings Lukaku in. I'm happy with that. I really wanted to see Lukaku. But then what happens is he's not rotating them in the right way. Even when Lukaku's completely knackered, he's not in the right mindset. He was playing him and he played him through a patch of horrible form, and it does work. We hear like the likes of Michael Owen, Andy Cole was saying it the other day I was listening. Sometimes that does work, but sometimes it doesn't. Give the lad a chance on the bench like Lukaku. Bring him on 70th, 80th minute.
But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just from a pure Rashford point of view, because that was the 6th a game-winning goal that he's managed to get for United. Yeah. And this is a guy that doesn't play up front for us ever, hardly.
Just since last season as well.
Yeah.
So, it's not even
so he doesn't play for us hardly ever. This is a guy that doesn't get the opportunities to play at number 9. And when he's given the opportunity, it's just turned 21 this week, and he's putting the ball in the back of the net and winning games for Manchester United. Don't you think he deserved a chance as number 9 today, ahead of Sanchez, who there was a lot of theory about why he would play number 9, but that he's never going to regularly play there. Rashford's got a career that he could play at number 9.
Football's a confidence game a lot of the time, and if Marcus Rashford, obviously he came on and scored today, and that's going to be a big boost for his confidence, but if Mourinho really wanted to get in there and really wanted to say, listen, I trust you today to get out there, hold the ball up well, get us a goal, then that's only going to do him the world of good for me, Marcus Rashford. So it would have probably been the right thing to start him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that it would have been the good option.
Again, Fred as well, I thought he might have brought something to the right side, so let's just hope that we get some sort of balance on that right side, because what we're doing on the left now is brilliant. But like you said, I seen when Pogba turned around one time and Fred just sort of... no, this is when Fred was off. And I was just thinking, if Herrera sat deeper, I know for certain Fred would have moved into that space in the middle, because that's his nature. Just like Jesse, you were saying it, he has to move, otherwise that's not part of his game.
Yeah, well, what I said was Jesse's ADD. That's why he has to move constantly all the time.
You can't really complain.
No, you can't really complain about that. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the comments. Assis says, Rashford scored one lucky goal and these English idiots start licking his dick. If that's how you analyse football, then I'm sorry, mate, because it wasn't just a lucky goal. He started the movement. The ball comes into him, and he did what a striker is supposed to do. Start watching football with a more critical, less superficial eye.
Let me lay this out for
you. He puts it out to Pogba. Yeah. Pogba comes back into the box. The ball comes in. Now, he was very fortunate with how the ball landed and the clearance attempts.
He lets it drop.
Brilliant composure.
He misses the first chance, which Marcus Rashford, I absolutely love him, but he should be looking to place that, if I'm honest. We can't disagree with that. What he does there, people say his hold-up play isn't there. What did he do? Puts his foot. That was a brilliant bit of hold-up play.
Waited. And blasted it.
Absolutely brilliant.
Made no mistake.
And the hold-up play there to Pogba. Looks where Pogba is and then lays it to him nicely. Pogba, brilliant work on the left. As soon as it drops to him, on his left foot, like, people complaining he's not using his weak foot. He's not holding the play up well. And he's not getting in the right positions. His movement, I don't know how people watching some of his movement when they complain about it.
It's been phenomenal.
It's brilliant.
There was a chance that he created for Lingard 5 minutes before that. Oh, just where the ball comes in, he knocks it on the right side of the box.
Just smacked that. But
yeah, like, Marcus was doing this. He was involved loads against Everton and was super unlucky not to be fed more opportunities when he was in the box. But his link-up play was phenomenal. Zakira's got a comment here which says, Mata was coming in a lot and not keeping his width. We need to keep the same line up, but switch Mata for Rashford and also switch Matic for Herrera. We're going to talk about Matic and Herrera in a second, but let's have a look at United's average touch today, because that's a very good point that links up with what we're about to see here. So there you go, United's. That's one of the most messiest ones I've seen from United. Jose Mourinho usually very rigid with his structure. You can see Chris Smalling there dragged off as the furthest back defender. Lindelof stepped up a little bit because he likes to play that ball a little bit. Look how close Matic is to him though. That's no good. And Fred has been dragged back because Fred did a lot today. Fred was very busy defensively and he was phenomenal with the ball at his feet. And I thought he was super unlucky not to be brought off. For me, Matic would have been the guy that come off. And we'll talk about Ander Herrera in a second, but either way. Now, I want you to look at the position there. Number 6, number 8, Pogba and Mata. Now, if you could probably even argue you can have Fred in there, but if you have Ander Herrera in there, and you have Mata and you have Pogba, that for me is a midfield that can play games. You can even have Fred, Pogba and Herrera in there if it's a more combative kind of game. There's nobody operating in this right-hand side. Sanchez did drift over there. I wouldn't mind seeing what he could do off that right-hand side. But what I'm going to say to you guys is, how's this for an option? maybe even in the derby, because we're going to have to go and find space in the derby. I imagine Lukaku comes back after this weekend he's had off, and I'm glad he's had a weekend off, and I'm glad it didn't affect our run of form. But what about Tony Marshall, Marcus Rashford up front as a pair?
Yeah.
Jesse Lingard in the hole behind them. And a midfield three of Fred, Herrera and Pogba. There's energy, there's bite, there's fight. And the way you beat Manchester City, the way you beat teams that press so hard and have a defence that stands so high, is you put the ball into the space behind them. And if you've got Jesse Lingard, Marcus Rashford and Anthony Marshall as the ones chasing that down, you're getting it.
Yes.
Simple as that.
100%.
You've got to turn that defence round, you've got to get in behind it, and that is the way to do it. And you'd also do it by having a solid midfield that's hard to get through and is going to work, because you can't just put Fred and Matic in there because they're not mobile enough. They're going to get the ball passed all over the place around them. You want to find people in there that can get in there, that have got a bit of bite to them. This isn't about being physical. This is about being quick.
Shall I tell you what? That front three, and I absolutely love all of those, because I think they're the future and what we can bring. Obviously, Jesse Lingard's a little bit more experienced than Martial and Marcus Rashford. But for me, just behind them in a deeper spot, Pogba, on his own, I don't think was enough in terms of ball playing ability by himself to play
That's why he works better in a three.
and play the ball into them. And that's when Fred comes in and Herrera, and we've seen Herrera look forward at every opportunity. Herrera brings you the bite. I mean, Fred won all of his tackles, 5 out of 5, 100% of his tackles today, and he comes off. That's enough defensive work and outlet going forward.
Some dog shit journalist that write for a formerly great local newspaper, which is now a disreputable clickbait blog. I've given him a 1 out of 10, Fred, which just shows everything that you need to know. Because I thought, again, Fred was fantastic. I mean, we'll pull up his stuff in a second, but from what I can remember, he did win all of his tackles, but he was effective with the ball at his feet, and some of his passes didn't come off. But some of the balls he was playing were adventurous.
You know, just before the Martial goal,
and he
gets the ball across him, and that's something Matic doesn't do, and sometimes Pogba doesn't do as well. And I absolutely love Pogba's passing range, but he doesn't make that quick pass sometimes. He makes that quick pass, and it sort of hits off one of the Bournemouth defenders, and we end up in a better space. Yes, he lost the ball there, but because he's looked forward and he's taken that risk that you've got to do as a midfield player for a top club, playing in a deeper position, we've got a goal out of it, and that's what Matic doesn't do.
There we go, that's Fred's actions there. It didn't come off in the middle a couple of times. That was challenges, and that was also a couple of passes, and some of the ones that you can see in the middle was where he was trying to fire it through in for somebody else to get on the end of as well. But I was very impressed, and these ones here along the bottom third sort of line, very impressed with those. Those were tackles, those was interceptions, and those was Fred doing what he had to do. He is a genuine box-to-box midfielder. There's not as many actions as you would hope for. And let's have a look at Matic. So as you can see, Matic a lot more involved. The reason for that, I mean, Matic again is kind of getting on people's tits a little bit the way he's playing him because of how lumbered he looks at the moment. But you can see how much involvement he's had by the sheer difference in those. But the major reason for that is because United was defending so much for that first hour or so. We was super under the cosh, and we was struggling, to be honest. We was definitely suffering. Let's have a look at Alexis Sanchez, leading the line, a bit of a false nine sort of effort. Not a lot coming off for him, quite spread out. But the difference here, a couple of actions inside the box, which we've not really seen a lot of from United of late. And Marcus Rashford, if we've got Rashford. For only half an hour on the pitch, several actions in the box, making things happen. I thought it was another good performance from Rashford.
Honestly, his hold-up play, I'm absolutely loving that today, because one flick onto Jesse, and that created a big chance for us. Then the flick onto Pogba to create his own chance. What the best strikers in the world, and what made Ronaldo great at Madrid when he turned into a goal scorer, was the fact that he was making his own chances. Even when he lost his pace, you could say he lost his pace or lost a bit of his dribbling ability, what he'd do is he'd start his attacks, and that's what Marcus Rashford does. And to be that top player, you need to do more of that, and that's one thing that I said Marcus Rashford should add to his game. And today, people need to start looking at that and say, we've got a player in our hands, but what you need to do is trust that player and play him for the next 3-4 games as your main striker, and then let him build on that, because today was brilliant. And just like Fred, he's made for a European game, so he has to start in Turin against Juventus.
Oh, I don't even want to start thinking about that game, to be honest with you. I'm just going to have a look if it shows the direction of passes here. You probably haven't got these ready, so don't worry about getting these on screen for us. But a couple of weeks ago, I complained about Anthony Marshall. He scored, but he was unadventurous in possession. He always passed it back, and it wasn't a layoff. It wasn't something that he was doing to then. Quite often you see Ander Herrera give the ball and then get going and make some movement, and Martial wasn't doing that. Today, his passing, there's so many more passes. Unfortunately, they didn't come off in the second half, but he's putting the ball into the box repeatedly. Yeah. He is actually trying to make things happen for the rest of the team. Today, I would say this was, and I know it's not as perhaps spectacular because there was no dribbles where he beat 9 people, or his goal wasn't as spectacular. It was a very good finish. But today, I thought that was the best team performance that we've seen from Martial in this little run that we've had.
His all-around game today was fantastic. There was one chance where Martial, of 2-3 games ago, would have taken an extra player on, but instead he puts it right into the box where it goes into the edge of the 6-yard box there.
He put a few in for Sanchez.
And the link up between him and Luke Shaw, they just seem to sense where they're both going now. And even outside of football, you see them really enjoy their company. It takes time, doesn't it,
to get that sort of shit.
And we wanted to see that with Memphis and Luke Shaw, didn't we? And it just sort of never happened. And if you can get someone with Martial's ball playing ability, with the ball at his feet, improve in terms of getting the ball faster in the box and link up play with the likes of Luke Shaw and Pogba, then he's going to become an absolute star in this side, and hopefully he builds on that.
Let's see what you guys are saying in the question. We've also got a Patreon group. This channel is supported by Patreon, and all of the things that we've been able to do in terms of getting the studio and increasing the quality all the time is because of the absolute legends on Patreon. We've got nearly 500 in there at the moment, and for that they get extra content that you can't see on here. There's behind the scenes vlogs, which are piss funny, if I do say so myself. There's an extra podcast that they get a week, and tomorrow's is going to be up there for you tomorrow afternoon as well. And they get a chat group which is for match days, and they've got a Facebook group, and there's all sorts of stuff. It's less than £1 a week, and if you'd like to take a look at the stuff that you get for it, the link is in the description below, so please come and check that out. I'm going to go over to the questions now and see what you guys are saying while I'm getting the questions prepared. If you wouldn't mind liking the video, there's nearly 2,000 watching. Can we get 1,000 likes? If we get 2,000 likes, I'll slap Abdul. How about that?
You know what, I'll take that. Off camera.
What a man. Right, so Connor says, does Ed need any more proof that he was wrong about Toby and that this squad needs heavy investment? I think the proof has been there all season, to be honest. Whether or not he takes it on board is another thing. Ryan says, why do we all start so poorly? We did start poorly, but we wasn't allowed to play. They just played the shit out of us, didn't they? They just looked great.
Yeah, they looked absolutely brilliant on the ball. The width was brilliant. I was comparing it to United 2013 when we won the league. And why? Because we seem to keep the ball in a sometimes 4-4-2 shape or 4-2-3-1 shape, where it transitions with Rooney and Van Persie, or Welbeck and Van Persie, however. But we always seem to keep the shape, keep the ball, keep the width, and defensively look sound. And the whole idea of not playing 4-4-2 or in that style where it's not too great defensively is an absolute myth, like we were talking about earlier. And it's like they were absolutely brilliant. They come out as, I don't know if in the second half, you said this the other day, and I keep taking this on board about the analysis at half time, and that could have been another thing. Why did we look completely different in the second half?
Well, that's a question that we've got there from Barbie Sean says, why do we only seem to wake up in the second half? And I'm speculating. I don't know. I haven't been told. I'm literally just speculating that. I think that there was probably a massive part of Ruth Farrier's job was interpretation of opposition scouting. Jose doesn't do the opposition scouting. Jose probably doesn't even personally, maybe he does, I'm not sure though. I don't even think he personally reads the opposition scouting. I think his assistants are the ones that read the opposition scouting. Jose probably maybe watches a bit of tape. They maybe do it as a group. But there was probably something very key in what Ruth Farrier was doing, which was preparation of opposition stuff. Now, I've done a course in video analysis, football video analysis, and one of the major things that you're hammered into is what happens at half-time. Because half-time is your World Cup final, you've got to go and take a penalty time. This is your time to shine. Or you're a goalkeeper with a penalty save to make. This is your time to shine as a video analyst, where you've got to deliver the goods. Being a video analyst is pretty easy, keying all the stuff in as the game's happening, this, that and the other, but spotting trends, identifying patterns, figuring out what's going on. Now, the difference is, when we're looking at this and trying to analyse the game, I've not been in Jose's team talks, so I don't know what we're trying to achieve. We might have been trying to achieve that they would attack us down one side and we would counter down the other. We might have been trying to achieve let their centre-halves cross the halfway line and then we'll bang it over the top. I don't know what we're trying to achieve, so when you're trying to analyse what's going on, it's harder. But when you're part of the analysis team, you know United's tactics, so you know what we're trying to do. So when you're analysing at half-time, you go, that didn't work, this is really working, they look weak in that area. You've got 3 minutes to deliver to Jose Mourinho what needs to happen. And can you imagine how succinct and how like bullet pointed that shit needs to be? They give it Jose Mourinho on a laptop. They show him a couple of clips. Here's what's happening. This guy's doing that. This guy's doing that. And then Jose either takes it on board or he dismisses it. And that's why he gets paid the big bucks to make the decision what happens with that information. If he likes the information and he wants to disseminate that information to the team, he will either tell his coaches or he will deliver it himself with a laptop in the if he needs to, in the dressing room. That is how video analysis is a massive part of the game at the moment. And I think if you discount what Faria did and you discount what happens at half-time, then you're not looking at how football is played, managed, operated and delivered. Because I'm not saying it is definitely the video analyst. And I'm not saying it definitely is Rui Faria. But if it's 5%, you're dealing with the tiniest margins at the top level of football. It can make some difference.
Looking at this game, I expected us to concede, you know. As in, like, I expected us to concede first. I just draw it on my bet.
No,
as in, like, I went to it, sorry.
Might not be the only one that does me in.
I thought we'd win. In the second half, I said, we're going to win this because of the way we'd come out. But I did expect us to concede in the first half from Bournemouth, first goal of the game. Like, I seen straight away, slow start. We're not passing the ball well enough. They're keeping their shape pretty well. They're playing it in the right positions. And I'm just waiting for that goal to happen. And poor positioning from our back four, not enough communication. When you've got a failed winger playing at full back, how many times do we have to say this every week when we're doing this?
Just going to see how many passes he completed today. Yeah, 84. It's a lot for him. It's huge for Ashley. It was usually in the 50s and 60s. Liam Parker says, should Ander start every game? I'm a big Ander Herrera fan. I really like Ander Herrera.
Mate, we can really form a midfield with Herrera, Fred. Like the aggressiveness, even the patience and play with Herrera. Yes, he gets around, but like you said, the passing moves, him and Mata, when they're in sync, is just something beautiful to watch, isn't it? I remember them coming to Old Trafford in a league. I know it was a League Cup game, but I remember just Mata and Herrera stringing a couple passes, and then Zlatan and Pogba getting involved.
He's an intelligent footballer.
It's brilliant to watch.
Joe, that experience that people say, that nous, that dark art, Ander Herrera's had it for years. He's a footballer's footballer.
He's ready to be that.
He's snide.
Midfielder.
He's devious. He's fucking beautiful. I love that shit. Every team needs an horrible dickhead like that. That's going to be a nightmare to play against.
What bugs me in the side about Matic, and I've noticed this since last season, is the fact when the ball's coming across to him, he hasn't got that in him to play that quick pass. He has to hold it if he's ever going to want to play a forward pass. And by the time when in the Premier League, in the pace of the Premier League, that pass is going to go. That move, like we said, Marcus Rashford last week against Everton, that move's already gone from Rashford. You've missed that first hit. And what Herrera offers you, when you go back to Chelsea at the end of that season, when Rashford was playing as that number 9, that pass that he puts in across, he intercepts the ball. His second touch is a pass right in behind, one of the best passes I've ever seen in my life, in behind David Luiz, behind a brilliant Chelsea defence, and Rashford buries that. And if you give a couple of those passes every game to Marcus Rashford, and he maybe misses one and scores the other, you're only building confidence, you're only improving his side, and I really want to see Herrera play deep alongside Fred and Pogba.
I just think there's another option, and Ranabir has got a good shout here. Is this proof that the repeated discussion and debate on social media and YouTube on a particular topic is eventually permeating into the dressing room and manager and coaches? Maybe. Or maybe they've finally just realised themselves, and that's Lukaku dropped out, and now we have a proper plan B. I wouldn't say it's a proper formulated plan B, because I still don't even know for definite that plan A is properly formulated. No. But yeah, I think that this might have given Jose the confidence that I can rest Lukaku, I can pull him out of the firing line, and we do have another way to play football, and that's all you ever want, is that your team to have multiple tools, and then it's on the manager to select the right tools for the right job. Barnzo says, nice last minute winner, need to sort it out at the start of games. I don't know the answers to that yet, but yeah. What's it going to take for Jose to sub Matic? He really slowed play down, was a mere spectator for a large part of the game, says Arshin. Don't know, man. But you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. And I think that's the way it was coming and coming and coming. People focus on Lukaku because it's the goals. Goals win games, and if you're not scoring goals as a striker, that's a problem. It's less of a problem if your defensive midfielder's not scoring goals, but he is looking sluggish. And this is a guy that had an operation in pre-season. This is another guy that is going to need probably his own pre-season. Like I think Lukaku probably needs a mid-season pre-season. So, that's the one. Liam Parker with Pogba assist. Does he now have the best stats for a midfielder in the league this season? Marty! Thank you. We'll get that.
I don't know if they've given it him or not because they're trying to figure out if he touched the ball when it was coming down. But watching it again, it doesn't look like it did. But.
Your take on Nathan Ake's performance? Everyone knows I'm a bit of a Nathan Ake propagandist.
Yeah, I really like
and what is our best midfield trio? I think the one that we said earlier, Herrera, Pogba, Fred.
And going off what game
that third guy,
Herrera comes in.
That third guy can be Mata, it can be Pereira, it can be Fellaini. There's a time and a place for it to be Fellaini. And I think those teams that play that direct football, I think, as I was doing a lot of analysis on Lindelof this week, I think that one of the reasons that you play Fellaini as a 6 is that you do that to protect Lindelof, because honestly, his heading is as good as my dieting. It's just fucking non-existent. So I think that's one of the reasons that you put that link up in there, is because Fellaini's going to protect him. There are weaknesses in our squad and there are ways to mitigate that. I think some people got the wrong end of the stick of what I was saying with Lindelof. I was saying it's been 2 games and those 2 games have really suited him. And actually today kind of really suited him, and I don't really think he was at fault for their goal, and he was put under a lot of pressure today. But I think against, look at the teams that he struggled against. Harry Kane he struggled against, who's, let's be honest, even though he doesn't play like a lump, he's a fucking lump. He struggled against Huddersfield, Brighton, Burnley, Burton, fucking Bristol. Like, all of these teams he's kind of struggled against.
Those Sam Vokes and all these guys up against him, that's when he...
But he did all right against Juventus. He did all right against Everton. All right, Juventus aren't Everton, but they play a continental style of football. When we were chasing down
the game, I absolutely loved seeing Lindelof's approach when we were going forward. Not only does he get the passing, but he gets a passing that can set up an attack. And if you look towards the end when we were attacking and we got that success down the left, that's what we got.
Marty says Pogba didn't get the assist, which I think is a little unfair. But them's the breaks. And he says he's joint best goal and assist tallies for a centre mid. 3 goals, 3 assists. Stick that up your arse, Graham Souness. People will still talk, won't they? I thought he had another good game today, Pogba.
That ball,
he was in with a shout.
That ball into Marcus was what I want to see. Take a player on. Don't take that extra stupid touch and knock it at the back post. Brilliant.
Matic helps us bring the ball out from the back, especially with Smalling there who hasn't got a clue. He kind of does, but I think someone can do it quicker, because I think he's very slow with that. I think Ander Herrera could do what he's doing.
He doesn't seem to pick the pockets in the middle of the pitch, and I've seen that against Derby County. The runs Jesse was making in the middle, he never seemed to actually get any of them. And it really frustrated me just seeing, just take a risk, man. If it was Fred or Herrera deeper there, they would have took that risk.
This is a good point here from Nathan Gold. Since Smalling is only good against a big striker and Lindelof struggles against those physical threats, would it be feasible to have centre-back partnerships for different oppositions, e.g. Jones and Smalling versus Burnley and Lindelof Rojo versus Bournemouth? Not the worst shout, although I wouldn't want to see Phil Jones in there.
I was speaking about this before the game.
More like Bay and Smalling. Maybe Bay and Smalling.
Bailly and Lindelof might be suited to games like today where the ball might be knocked in behind. You need to know where you need to catch the ball for someone like Bailly who has the pace and Lindelof to play it out. But then I think someone like Harry Maguire can complement both depending on what game comes in. So that would be really good if we get a centre back like that.
Sammy Playboy in the comments says, I want a refund for all the first half performances this season. I don't think you're on your own, mate. Keep liking the video, everybody. I'm going to keep reading some of your questions out and see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, who do you guys think was man of the match? Because I think it's a bit of a toss-up. I think
Tony.
We were just talking about it here before we went live. I thought Ander Herrera was very key to what he did when he came on. Marcus Rashford was very involved when he came on, but you can't really give it someone who was on 30-odd minutes. Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial. I thought Fred was excellent before he went off. He's not going to get it. So who was your guys' man? Who was yours?
Martial, because every time he got the ball, there was a purpose and there was something effective in what he did. Cross, that was in a dangerous area. Whether he pulled it off or not, the interchange between him and Luke Shaw, he actually came across goal just as the Rashford goal was coming in, and his movement was really good there. And I think he's going to start picking up the rhythm and the movement between him and Marcus, Alexis, whoever's next to him. So I was impressed with him today, man.
Tyra says, do you think we'll get rid of Sanchez in January? No idea. Maybe. Will Jose be backed in January? Any inside knowledge? Not at the moment, but you guys in the Patreon group, as always, will be first to get any of that. There was some news dropped in the Patreon group last week, which I think everyone would be happy about when that breaks. So if you want to know what that is, come and join the Patreon group and you will find out what that news was about somebody's contract. Shane says, do you think we can finish top 4 this season? If so, can we do it without reinforcing? If not, what do we do? What do we need to do to have a chance of finishing inside the top 4? Look, this United team, on its day, could beat City next weekend. Yeah. It could, right? Will it? Don't think so. Yeah. I don't think it will. I think we could go to the Emirates and beat them. And I think we could also lose. Could we beat Liverpool? Yeah, Jose could shit ours away again. Like, Klopp's not beaten United with Liverpool. But does that mean that that's going to happen this time around? No. Could we get beat 4-0? Yeah. Like, this United team's problem at the moment is that it's so wildly inconsistent, it's hard to predict which team's going to turn up. And I think the manager has to take a lot of responsibility for that. Because he's there to manage and smooth it out all the time. So if it's just wildly switching from one thing to another, it's not fucking acceptable. BH Smith says, why are we so reactive instead of proactive? Covered that a little bit earlier. But yeah, I think there's a lot at play that we don't know about. I know the players are pretty happy with the training. They're pretty happy with what Carrick and McKenna are doing. McKenna's putting on clinics after training where players are allowed to work on their individual talents. That's not something that has happened usually under Jose Mourinho, so that's a positive thing. But is there other areas maybe that Rue did or other people did before Carrick and McKenna came in that them guys aren't doing because they're different people? I don't know. Ashbird, can we expect a decent challenge for any trophy with this defence week in, week out? It's a shambles. Been having a little bit of a chat with my old man. And my old man thinks we're currently like United in the 80s, where you've got Brian Robson and you've got a Norman Whiteside and you've got a Paul McGrath. So you've got some real superstars that would grace any era's 11. But the supporting cast just isn't there and the manager's not quite right. And we're not near the Liverpool of the 80s, but we might pick up the odd cup. Now, we've been pretty successful in cups in the last few years. Louis won one, Jose's picked up a couple. Could pick up an FA Cup this year. Could have a decent Champions League run, but I think we've not got the real quality there that I scarily do see in Liverpool now.
The answer to the defensive side about that is you can cover up, like we were speaking, in those weaknesses as best as you could. And that's why the Champions League, and I'm not saying we're going to win the Champions League, but the Champions League
you all know what to do.
Is more suited to teams that you're going to have one run and you can cover up for certain weaknesses. But over the course of the season, the pace of the Premier League and, you know,
the cream rises, doesn't it, and sinks. You don't usually get an accidental winner of a title, but you can fluke a cup win. I don't think there's been many fluke
Even your Leicesters and Blackburns, they actually played good. People think they're just fluky wins, other than when City drew the league, but that's different. When Leicester and Blackburn won that, they actually got loads. Yeah, exactly.
Luke says, what's with tall strikers having better crosses than most wide players? Lukaku isn't bad, rather have him crossing it right back than Young. Heard it here first. Lukaku, right back against City next week. Can you imagine?
Cutting on the left foot, sweet back post cross to Marcus Rashford. I'll have a bit of
that. Does Matic offer anything more than players that could replace him? Here's the fundamental difference. There's 3 players in the squad at the moment that are ride or die for Jose. One of them got dropped today, or rested. One of them's Matic, one of them's De Gea, which I don't get, but that's what I'm being told. So there's no way he takes out 2 of them. No way whatsoever. He's got to have his allies in the dressing room. He's the manager after all. So there's no way you see both of them out of the team, even though they both desperately need a rest. And that's why they both desperately need a rest, because they just get played to death. Thoughts on the matter to Juve rumour? I don't think he'll be here. So I imagine that's somewhere that he's going to go. Marshall has had 8 shots in the Premier League this season, 8 on target, 5 goals, a goal every 106 minutes, according to the BBC, says Babe. Matt, is that right?
Who's that?
Marshall.
That's solid.
It's not bad. Yeah. It's impressive at the moment, but that's the problem, is when stats get taken out of different contexts like that and you go, does that mean he's been amazing? No, I think there's still holes in his game, but as I said earlier...
When the ball lands in the box, he's scoring. And
he is our most effective player at the moment, so he plays
and once
no arguments.
If
he gets hawked out of the team for Sanchez at the moment, there'll be a fucking riot, and probably rightly so. Dembele, top player, need him on the right. See, this Dembele talk has come out because he wants to leave Barcelona. It's not coming out if he's playing regular at Barcelona and smashing it. Do you want a player that's engineered a move out of 2 clubs in like 18 months or something, however long he's been at Barcelona from Dortmund?
Unless we're going to get a Malcolm or Dembele who haven't settled into a position at Barca on loan, which might suit both parties. I don't know how that would work, but United need someone off the right. I wouldn't personally go for that hit and just spend 100 million when we didn't want to spend anything over the summer. So it is a risky game. He's a brilliant player, but I don't know.
There's knowing what you know and knowing who could have been that player at Barcelona instead of him. What would he be doing there?
Mate, it'd be disgraceful. He'd be absolutely ripping it up.
Jake says Lukaku is a fox in a box. Need more crossing. We absolutely need more crossing. It's a big issue that we've got at the moment for definite. We are nearly at 400 likes. We get 500 likes for the boys. We just got 3 points, man. Early kick-off as well. And we got 3 points.
And I could get slapped at 2,000 likes.
And he could get slapped at 2,000 likes.
You want to see 1,500.
If you want to see Abdul get a warm hand to the face, that's what you got to do. Of course, my bet is down. Because I fucking bet on United to draw, didn't I? Which was looking pretty fucking on.
At least we didn't lose, though.
No, I know. And obviously I'm happier with the 3 points. But if that's the only one that lets me down, I'll be having a word with Mr. Marcus, actually. Not bad. Oh, we might have something coming from Marcus after this game as well. Just fingers crossed. Is Memphis an option in January? I doubt he'll come back, to be honest. I doubt he'd want to come back after the hype.
Still wears a United necklace though, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah, he takes pictures with it and everything, even at Man United on it.
He's a strange cat, isn't he?
He's still friends with all the lads here, so...
Oh, maybe then. Maybe I'm wrong. Why didn't Pogba get an assist? Don't know, mate. Probably because there was someone else touched it in the process of Rashford like controlling
the Premier League
it.
Just don't like Pogs.
Yeah, because Graham Souness works for Opta. Heard it here first. We would have great chemistry between Pogba, Marshall, and Dembele, maybe. But I've heard he's a bit disruptive, Dembele, and you don't really want that.
He didn't start every game for France, did he?
Hay says you lot stick by Trashford, but turn your nose up at Dembele. Yeah, because do you know why? Because you're not hearing about Marcus Rashford trying to engineer moves out of the club that he plays for twice, are you? Or being disruptive in a dressing room. That Barcelona dressing room must be the easiest fucking dressing room to be a part of. You're dicking everyone every week. How hard is life, honestly? Come on, man. And you know what? I'd make no apologies for always favouring a local talent over someone that you've bought in, because the philosophy of this club is that you play our local homegrown youth. So always. So shut it. Elias says, don't need Depay. He's not for Premier League, but he's good in a pub league in France. See, I disagree with that. I think Memphis is a very good player, and I thought he was a good player here.
Wrong time, wrong manager.
Yeah, wrong manager, wrong time. I think there was signs, man. He was doing some shit in that Arsenal game, his last game, I think, proper game for us. Oh, it was just out of this world.
Premier League debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that same game.
Him and Timbo played in that game. Some fucking serious players in that game.
Like,
unbelievable, Jeff. Sanchez should play on the right only, says Michael James. I'd love him to play on the right.
I think we need to give him a run there, don't we?
How is Jose going to ship his bus to Turin, says Kraken. Don't know. Someone saying that's called being xenophobic. It's not being xenophobic, is it? Because I love players that we've signed as well. But I'm always going to favour the local homegrown talent, because there's just an extra 5%. Like, when you know that, let's use Marcus and Jesse for an example. When you know that they've stood on the Stretford end and their dads have stood on the Stretford end, they get it more. When people talk about ex-players coming to United because they get it, players who support this club, they get it on an untangible, unmeasurable sort of wavelength.
We see their families in the stand with us. We've seen like Jesse's dad at City away last year, getting in with a chance and that, and I'm just seeing him on the...
When United lose to City or Liverpool, if you're just some random foreign player that's playing at Manchester United because it's a big club and you get a great wage and there's a lot about it, do you think it hurts that guy as much as it hurts the United fan that plays for us? They don't, right? And do you know what? If you want to call it xenophobic, call it xenophobic. I don't give a fuck. That's the fact of the matter is, those players get it more, they hurt more, they believe in it more. One example that I was using this week, Marcus Rashford, half a dozen games into his United career, when he retired Di Michaelis at the Etihad, it kicks off in that game. I can't remember who it was kicking off for City. It wasn't Company, I don't think he was playing, was it?
Di Michaelis.
Someone's booting off. Marcus Rashford, 18 years of age, half a dozen games into his United career, steams in. Who steams in with him? Jesse Lingard. I've got a 12-year-old son that's bigger than Jesse Lingard. Like, most people are like, fuck off, Jesse, move, right? Those two steaming in. Where's your leaders? Where's your 6-foot-odd Pogba? Where's these guys, yeah, that really believe in it? Like, can you imagine an 18-year-old and a fucking 6-stone player getting in the mix if Roy Keane was there? Put Roy Keane, put it going off in a derby game, and Roy Keane not being the first over. Now, he ain't the quickest, but you can't tell me that you're getting there before him.
Oh, he's getting there, mate. He's getting there with a flying kick in the face as well.
I'm being called Brexit via blood. No, I'm nothing. I'm nothing about Brexit. I don't like Brexit, and I'm not just wrong either. Players that have supported the club, that have got family that are still on the fucking terraces, they get it, and that's a fact. So you can argue with me all you want, but that's a fucking fact. I think it hurts more. I know it does. You can fucking see it on the face. You can see it on the face. You can tell. LVG brought Rashford. Brought him. He played him. Football Sean says homegrown players care more. Facts only. There you go. Passion is so overrated in this sport.
Passion has won Champions Leagues, mate. It's won titles. It's won the lot. And if you don't have it on the pitch, you don't win games. That extra bit of tracking back, and depending on what the player wants it or not, you get the ball, you knock it up the pitch. Depends if that winger wants it or not and wants to knock it up the pitch. And we see it with some of our players, unfortunately. Some of the players aren't as fast, but they'll get there because they want it more. And if you think passion doesn't take you far in football, then
Manchester United is a club that is built on the fact that we grow our own talent largely, and we also buy world-class talent in and we blend them together and make brilliant football teams. That's what Manchester United's all about. But we stand for bringing through our own youth, and you don't have to be English to come through. You don't have to be Mancunian to come through. Yeah. George Best, he is loved as one of us because he's one of us. He came through as one of us. Doesn't matter that he's Irish, Northern Irish, from Belfast. Yeah. He's Manchester. Like Marcus Rashford, born within spitting distance of it. He comes through, but he comes through the same track that Duncan Edwards came through from Wolverhampton, where he's from. That Bobby Charlton came through from the northeast. You know, that Tahith Chong is walking in that line as well. The guy's from, I think he's from Amsterdam, I think. But, you know, wherever he's from, it doesn't matter. They're walking the same path. And sometimes a player doesn't even come through here, but they get it to another level. Patrice Evra, for starters.
Ander Herrera in this team.
Got it. Ander Herrera's a United fan.
He's a United fan.
Yeah, he's a United fan. These things really matter, and if you don't think they do, I don't think you understand that 5 and 10%. So Mo Wadder says, so many foreign players and fans bleed red, but locals get it more. You just completely ignored everything I've just fucking said to you there.
I think that's YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily saying they're local. I'm saying it's the fact that they're fans, and I think that the fact
that anyway.
Yeah, I think that the fans, the fact that their old man stands on the terrace, you can't fucking quantify that. You can't quantify that. Not only is the old man stood on the terrace when he was a kid with him, he's fucking still there now.
Yeah, we see him there.
Still there now, ballooning and fucking having it. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Black Angel says, gonna go on the piss with Georgie Best. Boom. Talk about how good Axel has been at Aston Villa. You knew. You all knew. You all knew. I hope it works out for him there, and I hope he comes back and all the rest of it. Marva says, Marcus Rashford and Jesse Lingard are homegrown talent. What does that mean? They're loyal. There's also that. Yeah. There's also that. There's also the fact that, look, I know that there was offers on the table for some of our homegrown talent to go and play for the biggest clubs in the world, and they was like, not entertaining it. Ashley Young gets it, Ander Herrera does, and they aren't from the youth. We'll move on from that. Tahith Chong, you'll get there. I think Tahith Chong will get there, to be honest. Yeah.
I think it might do him good to go out on loan somewhere like Germany, to be honest.
Mr. Phelps, would you give up major trophies for the short period and breeding youth like Barca did for the long term? Yeah. Like, what made the 99 final so special wasn't just the fact that you won it in injury time, wasn't just the fact the style of football that you played. It was because there was half a dozen lads that 5 years earlier had been part of a youth team. 7 years earlier.
Were doubted by the media.
Yeah, 7 years earlier, they won the Youth Cup. 4 years earlier, they started the season and was told that you'll never win anything with kids.
It could be the equivalent. It could be the equivalent to you guys in the 90s, but with me, I went to watch 2011. The cup final, and you had Jesse on there. Obviously, it didn't work out for the likes of Morrison, but you had Pogba. You had some absolutely brilliant lads, and if you see them end up winning something big in the next couple of years,
that means a lot.
For me, that's just
means a hell of a
crazy as a fan.
David Benson says, "Shout out, Howson, out." Chong will have a fine career in the minor leagues. All right, my friend. Give Smalling some meat, says the bro. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Who would have thought that vegans couldn't have a sense of humour, eh? The amount of vegans I've had tweeting me this week about that. It's not my fault that he's gone shit since he stopped eating meat. Tuanzebe and Tim back in January. What do you say? If they get given the opportunity, then yeah. Otherwise, they'll learn more on loan, I reckon. Matic should be gone in January. That's not going to happen either. Matic out, Herrera in. I think everyone's kind of vibing with you on that one, to be honest with you. When can Dalot play? I don't know what's wrong with him, actually. Just picked up a knock and it just seems to have been he's been out for a while, don't we? 5 at the back against Juve. It's fucking 10 at the back, in all honesty with you. Like, I'd just say get in. Everybody get in the mixer. Governor Bandicoot would rather have Axel in this side than Smalling. See, I think he's one of the most naturally gifted defenders I've ever seen. There's experience that he needs to pick up. Aston Villa fans raving about the guy at the moment. Hopefully he gets 25, 30 games at centre-half this season, and he might be ready to walk into the first team with somebody. Yeah. This donut in the comments still going on saying passion's overrated and football's moved on. How's football moved on from bringing through your own players from your own academy? Like, can you imagine, like, obviously we went to Bilbao last season. Can you imagine what it must feel like when they win something? The fact that they know that it's just so, like, they said everybody in Bilbao knows 5 or 6 of the players, like, knows them, not just saw them in Tesco ones, but, like, knows them.
It's a family club, isn't it? And that just ups the passion on the pitch, and that makes the difference.
Elliot Morgan says, how can you say passion means so much then slag off Ashley Young at every opportunity? Hypocrisy at its finest. Not really, because it's passion that's channeled into quality football. I'm passionate, I'm fucking shit.
I'm passionate, stick me as a number 9 for United.
Yeah, see what happens. We're fucking turd, the pair of us. Just having passion alone doesn't matter. But, like, when you combine that with quality, it makes things happen. Whatever happened to Callum Gribbin, the truth will be out one day, my friend. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, but thank you guys for watching. Go and check Abdul's channel out. The link will be in the description below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and we've got Juventus, we've got Manchester City.
Let's have it.
We've got all sorts of shit coming out with that, haven't we? So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Welcome to the Stephen Howson Football Channel. This is where I will take you through everything that I do revolving around football, be it that at Old Trafford or elsewhere. This is where you'll get your match previews, your reviews, your football vlogs, your scout reports, your transfer talk, your youth reviews, your documentaries, and anything and everything revolving around football. I absolutely love this game. Do me a favour and subscribe. Thank you for watching.